I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do because I hadn't done it before.
Sure, it's fun.
Yeah, so
Whatever.
so I decided to be like, I want to make 30 Hurricane comics by 2030. I want to make 90 issues of my personal magazine. Which, like, when you think about it, if I made 12 issues a month, I'd knock it out in the first 5 years. But
yeah.
I don't expect things to go so well.
You can't make 12 issues a month.
No,
I mean, you
12
can,
issues a
but
year. Not
I say you can't. I mean, like you can't do that.
Yeah, no.
You
I can. That won't be very good.
How many months has it been for this hurricane? 200.
200 months of progress.
This freaking mushroom
No,
bastard.
for a personal magazine, to make 90, but what is it?
It kills them in one hit.
I want to make at least 2 Eisner Moto magazines. And I'm working on the first of those.
Oh, you're making them again? Oh.
Yeah, so I started making another one for, like, it's been like 30 new cast pages, so I want to start reviewing those.
Yeah.
Because
I think you reviewed it when there was,
I
halfway through chapter 1?
I published the last Eisner Moto magazine in February 2018.
So
it's almost
2
years
years
ago, exactly. So it's about time I should just...
I mean, like, you know,
Oh,
that is like just purely like a, hey man, if you want to, that'd be awesome, but you don't have to do that.
I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I was also thinking about film projects because, and I don't know, there's something about film projects that I struggle with, which is like the making them actually happen bit. I always struggle when I get to that stage, like I'll write a script and then not commit or not really know how to make the filming bit happen.
What do you mean?
Like maybe I just don't know how to go about working out a location. And the way that you achieve things is just by putting the effort in and trying. And so I just wasn't trying. And so I think that's just what I have to do. And because I keep hoping, maybe I'll get someone else or something will happen. So,
Got headbutt to death by a mushroomed man.
I also thought, by 2030, I also want to still be doing YouTube. That would mean I've been doing YouTube for 20 years.
That's fine.
And so I wrote that the only thing that I've done for that amount of time is live. So.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I haven't done anything else for 20 years. Yeah, I wanted to make 30 hurricanes, 90 personal magazines, 2 Asnatomato magazines.
2 in 30 years. In the 10 years.
2 in 10 years.
Wow, that's a pretty good goal, man.
Yeah, but like...
that'd be pretty awesome.
That magazine, I did like 4 in the first year. I think the first one was like June, and then the second was I did one June, July, August, November, and then the next one was like 2016 January.
So you should make one. So you make one now.
Yeah.
Catch up with the comic, and then make one in 2030 when the comic is done.
Well, that was the other thing I wrote, is that I want the thing I like about the way Iceland Matter magazine is going is it's kind of witnessing and documenting the transitions from editor to Cast the Psychopath, and then so what I want to cover in the next 10 years is the transition from Cast the Psychopath to whatever's next.
Yeah.
Cast 2.
Well,
pretty much. Because that's the thing you think about.
I do think about a sequel for Cass. I have many ideas for it, but will I ever make it? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Honestly, I hate being that guy, but like it really does depend on how well Cast itself does. And not to say like it better be successful. There's no sequel. More of a like, let's see how people feel at the end of it, and particularly me. Do I feel like the sequel is necessary? Because I got ideas for it, but like I'd be more than happy to leave it where it is. Because like sometimes there are stories that don't need to be followed up in any way. Although without spoiling how Cass ends or anything like that, obviously, but. The sequel story, I killed these guys without getting hit. Great. But the sequel would not. My number one goal with it would be to not destroy people's ideas, if that makes sense. So
Ideas of what Cass is.
no, what happens after the story, if
Right.
that makes sense. So
You finish producing Cass, people think about what happens next.
yeah,
You
they
don't
make
want-
fan fictions or whatever. And like they're like, oh man, I hope this happens and this happens. I don't want to be the guy who's like, well, time to confirm this and deconfirm that. You know, I don't want to be the guy who's like,
Yeah.
sorry, you were wrong. But rather, the story would be like something that people didn't even consider, right?
Yeah, so-
or at least like isn't considered much.
Yeah, something barely touched upon in Cass that you're gonna
Well,
take and run off with.
it would be fuck man, it'd be a different story.
Mm.
It's set in the same world with a couple of the same characters.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a direct. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk anymore about it. I mean, I do, but I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's like when I think about my whatever comes after Hurricane. Like, I don't even know if Hurricane is gonna be. Actually, that was sort of the thing. That was the thing that my goal for 2030 for Hurricane is to be somewhere near the end, somewhere near where I want to finish Hurricane.
That's reasonable.
And so like
Why do
this
these things
this
take so
thing
much health?
by 2030.
No, what the fuck?
Hurricane will be 23 years old. And I'm like, do I want, like, Hurricane will be my own age now.
I imagine
In
by that
2030.
point you'll start thinking of other ideas for stories.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing with Cass is like I might just be like I'm done with Cass for a little while.
Hmm.
I'll just be like, oh, there's a boss of some kind, isn't there?
It's only recent.
Oh, it's you.
Mm.
Hello. Cloth. Aha! The tiny steps of a tiny creature. You got the look of an adventurer, so we've much in common. Searching for dangerous places, eh? Well, you're on the right track. A long-necked critter warned me of a tribe deeper down, warrior sorts. Oh, this is what we're looking for. Hell yeah, dude. We're going to Mantis Village,
Mm.
where they all want to kill you.
Mm.
But there's a very high possibility that I'll just be like, I don't want to work on a cast-related thing for a while.
Yeah.
I have ideas for 100 years, so you know.
Yeah.
Marrying the Apocalypse is one, for instance. I get ideas for that every now and then.
Yeah.
But I think what the most likely case is that I'll just come up with something new in between that
Yeah.
time that I'll be really passionate about. Although, again, kind of going back to the sequel to Cast thing, I don't like, and this is how I am with sequels in general, just my stories. I'd want to try something different in general.
Yeah.
So even though it's technically still like set in the same universe with a couple of the same characters or whatever, it would be its own thing, you know?
Yeah.
It would have it would have a different tone, different theme, different story. Like it would basically be a unique new
Yeah.
story, but with a couple of
Well, that's
little
it.
bits.
That's the great thing about making a universe is you
Fuck,
can sort of
no!
you
Oh,
can
hey.
come back to it later after you finish the main story and be like, I want to just sort of elaborate on this little thing, and just sort of make its own big thing. Like I was thinking about doing. Like I had a bad guy in Hurricane called Edward Black, and I wrote his story on the wiki, and I thought that's a pretty good story. how come I haven't? Why don't I make a side comic thing? And then I just decided to like make Hurricane better. So
Yeah, so it's a bit like that.
Yeah.
It's this idea of like, oh, you know, but it'd be like it would definitely be its own thing, completely unique and whatever. So yeah, I might go into it. Like I said, it really, really heavily depends on how I'm feeling after the end, how people are feeling. Because there are certain things where it's like, well, what happened to this character? Like you left it ambiguous or whatever. I'd be like, I'm not going to answer that ever.
Yeah.
You know, because I really appreciate that kind of writing.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of the pyro philosophy,
Mm.
which is to say that while there is an answer to the pyro's gender, I'm sure, I don't want to ever know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like that for Cass's name, for instance, right? I know what Cass's name is,
Yeah.
but I'm probably never going to tell anyone.
No.
'Cause what's the point? There's no point knowing that. It's not really relevant. Besides,
Yeah.
even if I told people, probably be like, they'd be like, really? That's it?
That's like,
Just a normal name?
Sometimes I've done it one way or I've done it like two different ways of in Hurricane, where it's like I come up with the superhero name and then I come up with their real name, or I come up with their real name and then I come up with the superhero name. And that's what I did
Yeah.
so I've done that in like two different ways. One like was because I had the idea for the superhero ages ago,
Fuck.
and then I eventually started writing their full-on story. And it's a great story. I love that character so much.
Fuck, Jesus Christ.
I think I'm gonna really enjoy. I want to write a little scene with them in Hurricane 18, just because it'd just be fun. They're a fun character to write. And,
Who? Or you're not going to say?
No, I'm not going to say at the moment. But it's a
Can you
character.
give me a clue do I know who they are?
It's a character from the Superhero Guild.
Is
And they're sort of like the sort of Joker.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know the one. I know you, little man.
Yeah.
It's not right to talk about a sequel now, I think, for Cass anyway.
Yeah.
I'm still in chapter 2, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Barely halfway.
Yeah.
So, you know. And, like, the thing about Cass, which is slightly bothersome, but not really. It's just part of the course, but it's like... It hasn't even really started yet.
Yeah.
Like, the main point of the story has not happened.
Yeah.
I'm still world building and stuff.
Right.
But I just think that, like, that's how far off we are, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
From learning anything.
Yeah, that's
sequel wise.
That's kind of the way I feel about Hurricane a little bit at the moment. Is with KJ's story, we're not really into the
fray,
into the meat of what it is, what KJ's overall.
You've
life
really
turns
just
out to
finished.
be.
You've just finished basically like the prologue.
Yeah, I've just kind of started like this is the beginning of his story. We've just we've got him out of prison. He's got his powers. He's had a rough time with his powers. He's had like a glorified release from prison, and now he's off on his own doing a little adventure sort of thing. But he's not really there yet. So I think the fun stuff and the really good stuff is still to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we can't help thinking ahead of that in our stories, all right?
Yeah.
That's why I feel like with Cass, it's like it still hasn't. I feel like it still hasn't like sold itself
The
yet.
good thing about thinking ahead is that you can still decide to not do it at all.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing. Well,
I suppose I'm saying
fuck off, damn it.
that's the best bit. Is you can have that idea sort of sitting in the corner, having a look at it every now and then, thinking about it, and then maybe just decide, I don't want to do that one actually.
I mean, like for my thing, it's like literally the story.
Like you have like a revelation about the character, and then you go, actually that idea I had ages ago, that's a bad idea.
I mean, I do that all the time
Yeah.
for minor things, but like what I'm talking about with my big story reveal thing,
Yeah.
that's set in stone. To remove that would be literally rewriting the entire story, which I am not going to do, obviously. It's also the thing about writing a really, really big... It's not really, really big, but, you know, writing a story is like... You can't help but think really far ahead, man.
Yeah.
And that's always one of my biggest problems in terms of like my artwork and stuff. I like to draw stuff for my comics all the time. But what part of the comic I draw is completely dependent on what I feel like, you know?
Yeah.
I like to enjoy myself with writing my comic, which means that I only like to write what I'm currently interested in, right? Unless it's like the thing that I need to do right now, if that makes sense. I'll finish that for the next episode. All right, goodbye.